You are tuned in to On Air with Chris Shanafelt.
Scobie rolls it along the ground. This is a Tyjuan Hagler touchdown. Palmer throws, intercepted, picked off by Tyjuan Hagler. Down the sideline, inside the 10. It'll be first and goal for the Colts.
Welcome back to a special episode of On Air with Chris Shanafelt. And with so much going on in the world due to the coronavirus pandemic, and with the sports world among those being put on a standstill, I found myself last Sunday watching Super Bowl 41, Indianapolis Colts against the Chicago Bears. And our next guest made a couple of plays in that game for the winning team. It's a pleasure to welcome onto the show Tyjuan Hagler, former Indianapolis Colts linebacker and special teams standout, Kankakee, Illinois native. Tyjuan, I really appreciate you taking the time to chat this evening. How's everything going? How's life after football?
Life has been great, and I greatly appreciate you having me.
The pleasure is all mine. So before we get to your journey and the 6 years you spent in the National Football League, Tyjuan, I want to start things off by talking about your foundation and the things you do in the community. You're from Kankakee, Illinois, about 45 minutes to an hour south of the city of Chicago, and every year you guys hold an annual Kids Can Do football and cheerleading camp at your alma mater, Bishop McNamara High School there in Kankakee. You've done this for the past 13 years now. It's one thing, though, Tyjuan, to hold a camp and show face for an hour or two, but what's different about your camps is that this is an all-day event, 8:30 in the morning to 3:30 in the afternoon, and from the videos I've seen, you're out there getting after it with these kids on the field as well. Why is it important for you to come back to where it all started for you year after year and make an impact on the youth in the south suburban area of Chicago?
Football, growing up in Kankakee, is just, as a kid, it wasn't a whole lot to do. Then obviously I loved the game of football, so I told myself as a kid, I was like, man, I wish I had a football camp to go to. It's because I thought it'd be just a lot of fun and just for my friends and I to participate in. And I made a promise to myself that if I was given the opportunity to somehow, and the opportunity and the platform to somehow orchestrate my own football camp, I'll do so when I get to that point. And then I was blessed to be at that point and play in the National Football League. So my second year after we won the Super Bowl, that's when I started the Tyjuan Hagler Foundation. Then that was the platform for us to start the Tyjuan Hagler Football Camp.
And that's another thing, Tyjuan. You mentioned how growing up you didn't really have many football camps or any football camps to go out and attend. Much respect to you for giving back to the South Side, man. A lot of times we'll see a lot of these camps held further up north, Vernon Hills, or northwest in Naperville, and you know, no disrespect, those kids deserve it as well, but there's not a lot, as you mentioned,
yes,
down in the South Side. So to see an event like that, you know, down south in Kankakee, and to show kids and the people out there in that area that no matter where you come from, as long as you put the work in, anything is possible. And obviously you're a true testament to that. What are the plans, though, for this summer, Tyjuan? Are we waiting to see where the country will be at within the next month or two to decide whether or not there will be a 14th annual Kids Can Do camp held this summer?
Yes, right now it's just a wait and see. And like I said, Grant, we've already started making plans for the camp this upcoming summer, but it's just like but if it comes down to for everyone out there getting sick, it's not worth it. So just right now it's just a wait and see. But we would love to have it, and we're looking forward. We're going to continue to plan, but if we think it's going to become won't be healthy, won't be safe enough for us to have it, then we probably will move forward and just postpone until next summer.
And obviously, for more information, listeners can visit TyjuanHaglerFoundation.org. Again, we're chatting with the Kankakee native and the former Indianapolis Colts linebacker and special teams standout Tyjuan Hagler. And Tyjuan, taking a look at your playing career, you went to the University of Cincinnati, where you turned yourself into a fifth-round draft pick. We're 1 week away from the 2020 NFL Draft. Take us back to when you received that phone call from the Colts back in 2005, Tyjuan. Who was on the other end of that phone call, and what were the emotions that you were feeling when you seen your name flash across the screen signaling that you were officially a member of the Indianapolis Colts?
It was when I seen my name go across the screen. It was a dream come true. Something I've always pictured and just thought of as a kid. Just like, man, I would love to see my name go across the screen to be drafted by a team. Then for it to be the Indianapolis Colts, I thought it was just perfect. I thought it aligned well, and I thank God for it because I grew up in Illinois, went to school in Ohio, then played professionally in Indiana. It was like they're right in the middle of the two cities and the two states, obviously as well. So I thought it was a dream come true. Like, it was great to get a call. I believe the first person I spoke to was Bill Polian, the general manager, time Hall of Famer, then also Hall of Fame head coach Tony Dungy.
Well, you certainly cannot go wrong with that, especially, and then looking back at what you were able to do, what you were able to experience during your time there, and we'll certainly get to that. But what were your interactions like with the Colts leading up to the draft, Tyjuan? I like to cover the draft quite a bit, and I talk to hundreds of prospects every year leading up to the draft. I've talked to many guys that had no interactions with teams that they would go on to be drafted by, and I've talked to guys that had a lot of interactions with teams that they would go on and get drafted by. What were the interactions like with the Indianapolis Colts for you back in 2005 leading up to the draft?
I would fall on the side of no interactions. That's one team. Indianapolis was one team I didn't talk to at all. So it never crossed my mind that I'd be playing it. However, I did fit their system perfectly, but it never crossed my mind. So definitely, like I said, it was definitely a blessing to come to be drafted to a team that obviously has future obviously multiple Hall of Famers already as far as GM, coach, wide receiver, then running back Edgerrin James, then Peyton Manning coming up, Robert Mathis, Reggie Wayne, then I can go down the list with Dwight Freeney. However, like I said, definitely a blessing. But yes, Indy is a team that I never talked to throughout that whole process.
Well, let's go down that list, Tyjuan. I mean, looking at some of the names on those Colts teams that you were a part of, you had some guys with quite a bit of character. It all obviously starts with Peyton Manning, but as you mentioned, you got Marvin, Reggie Wayne, Dallas Clark on defense, Dwight Freeney, Robert Mathis. I mean, the linebacker room alone with Gary Brackett, yourself, Cato June. What was it like working with and being around those guys on a day-to-day basis, week-to-week basis, year-by-year basis in the National Football League?
It was awesome. It was a great experience. Like I said, we all played multiple years together. Then we became like brothers. We did everything together. Like obviously we worked together. We practiced together. Then also went out to dinner a lot of nights. And they said even just traveling together as well. Like I said, we enjoy life because we felt the most comfortable amongst each other. So it was like, hey, we might as well do everything else together. Let's have fun. But like I said, it was awesome. Great experience. I wouldn't trade it for anything.
Do you keep in touch with any of those guys today?
Yeah, sparingly I do. Yes, sparingly I do. Right. Robert Mathis is actually one of the closest guys I was to on the team. So, yes, I'm rooting for him to become that first ballot guy.
Well, his chances are certainly looking great, and there's a bunch of Hall of Famers on that list. Obviously, Reggie Wayne is on his way, Peyton is on his way, Dwight Freeney, I mean, so on and so forth. How about a welcome to the NFL moment, Tyjuan? How quickly did that come for you? Was it your first day at the facility? Maybe it was a moment in training camp or a game itself. Can you look back at a specific moment and say to yourself, that was a quote-unquote welcome to the NFL moment?
What comes to mind is I missed my whole rookie season. I had sports hernia, so I had to have surgery, what have you, so I missed my whole rookie season. And my second year came in, I would say my first preseason game, we went down to St. Louis to play the Rams. And then the first play I was in, the quarterback and center fumbled the exchange. And then the quarterback picked up the ball and pretty much tried to run with it. And like I said, my first play ended up being my first tackle. So I was like, all right, welcome to the NFL. All right, I got that nervousness out of me. That first hit, all right, let's play ball. And then the rest is history.
The rest is history. Would that be back when, was it Mark Bulger was the quarterback?
I believe it was. I'm not 100% sure, but I believe it was.
Well, that second year of yours, Tyjuan, that would obviously be the year that the Colts won the AFC South with a 12-4 record, defeating the Chiefs, Ravens, and Patriots in the playoffs to meet the Chicago Bears in Super Bowl 41 in Miami. What was that week of preparation like for you specifically, Tyjuan? Not only were you playing in the biggest sporting event in the country, but you're also going up against your hometown team in the Chicago Bears, a team I assume you probably grew up rooting for. I'm sure that added another twist to the entire thing, no?
Yes and no, actually, because, yes, I grew up a huge Bears fan, still a huge Bears fan, still cheered them on. And I still, even when I played in the NFL, I cheered them on, except when they played us. But that week, it was actually the coaches and the coach did a great job of keeping it as, like I said, just business as usual. So we treated it like a regular game week, like we did the previous games throughout the playoffs and throughout the regular season. So like I said, it was great to be in South Florida, not have to practice in the cold, what have you. Then you can go relax on the beach after a long day of work. But like I said, the week it was pretty surreal. Like I said, just with all the hoopla going on as far as the Super Bowl. But we had curfew, so we weren't able to partake in a lot of the Super Bowl festivities. But we kept it as business as normal. We had a regular week of practice, and then the night before the game, and I was like, hey, all right, it's gonna be the biggest stage that I can ever play on, so let's do it. And then we went out there and took care of business. Like, it sucked to have to do it to my Chicago Bears. However, hey, they didn't draft me. The coach did, so be it.
That's right. So, that if I'm not mistaken, Tyjuan, that was back when the Pro Bowl was played after the Super Bowl, correct?
Yes, it was after the Super Bowl.
Okay, so yeah, you guys obviously had just the 1 week to prepare as opposed to the 2 weeks they get now.
Yeah.
So, all right, so we've heard stories. I mean, this was 13 years ago now, believe it or not. Rumor has it,
wow.
Tyjuan, Tony Dungy was preaching, do not kick the ball to Devin Hester. Don't kick the ball to number 23. Game day rolls around on the opening kickoff. Adam Vinatieri kicks the ball. It's in the air, lands in Hester's hands, and he takes it 92 yards for a touchdown. Was that kind of the call all week long, preparing for the Super Bowl? Don't kick to Hester. What happened? Why was the ball kicked to Hester? And what was going on through your mind after that play was made?
Actually, not really. During the week, it was like, we're up for the challenge. We told them, like, we want them to kick it to him. So we wasn't going back down. I was like, all right, kick it to him. We can cover. However, that first play took place. I'm like, hey, all right, can't kick it to him again. So, but then after that first play, we decided not to kick it to him. Then kind of squealed a couple times, what have you. But we just pretty much took him out of the game plan, and then we took care of business on defense and offense.
Yeah, I mean, things certainly went your guys' way shortly after that. You would actually go on to recover a fumble in that game on special teams, and of course the Colts would go on to defeat the Bears 29-17. What was the celebration like afterwards in the locker room, and even days after, seeing as it was the very first Super Bowl that the organization has won there in Indianapolis? The Colts have won back in 1970, but that was back when they were in Baltimore. This was the city of Indianapolis's first Super Bowl champion.
Yes, the locker room it was so fun. It was so fun. Everybody smiling, hugging, a lot of water being thrown, what have you. But then everybody's just ready to get out of that locker room so we can get back to the hotel and just enjoy ourselves and go back and enjoy our families, because our families were down there watching the game. So we just wanted to just bask in the experience and just like, man, season's over. We won the big game. All righty, let's go enjoy ourselves.
Were you able to enjoy the halftime show at all? Obviously, you guys went into halftime 16-14 lead. And, it's going down as one of the best halftime performances of all time. Obviously, headlined by Prince himself. And then, you had it started downpour during the performance. I mean, it was really a perfect performance all in all. Were you able to kind of tune in a little bit during the Tony Dungy speech, or were other things on your mind?
Not at all. We didn't have any. It wasn't on the TVs in the locker room or anything. So we were just to talk about, all right, what changes we need to make, a few adjustments. But other than that, Coach Dungy never wants to make a lot of changes during halftime. You say, hey, we got a little bit more extra time. Would have been a halftime show at the Super Bowl, so just get off your feet and relax. So really, we relaxed and just talked and just discuss what we're going to do differently as far as for the second half. But then that was really it.
a few more questions for Tyjuan Hagler, the former NFL linebacker, special team standout, and Super Bowl champion here on air. And Tyjuan, you would spend your first 5 years in the league with the Indianapolis Colts, and then in 2010 you had a short stint with the Seattle Seahawks before landing back in Indianapolis for a year. If I'm not mistaken, that second stint with the Colts, you intercepted a pass from Carson Palmer, took it 35 yards for a touchdown. You also recovered an onside kick later in the year and took it 41 yards for a touchdown against the Jaguars. That would wind up being your final season in the NFL. When did you know that you weren't going to be playing any longer? When did you know that you were going to hang up the cleats? Or was that something that was kind of out of your power and the league kind of forced you into retirement?
Yeah, well, 99% of the people, players in the NFL don't retire on their own terms. So, yeah, that was just happened to be one of the case for me. So it was, I would like to play a couple more years. However, like I said, it just wasn't in the cards. So I'm thankful and blessed for the career that I did have.
Certainly, and obviously we are now a week away from the NFL draft, Tyjuan. What advice would you give to the 2020 NFL draft class, specifically the late round guys? I mean, you were a 5th round draft pick yourself coming out of the University of Cincinnati. You made sure you were going to stick around once you got the call. Last year, we've seen a 3rd round draft pick not even make it past the preseason before he was cut. The average career, as we know, lasts about 3 years in the NFL. And as you said, certainly more guys than not end their career not on their own terms. What advice would you give to those who are currently on the doorstep of the NFL?
I would just say it's really, as far as where you draft it, it's out of your control. So just continue to pray and just stay ready for when your number is called. Like I said, it's going to happen. It's going to happen fairly quickly. So you're going to be into those rookie mini camps, what have you. Assuming things are better with the pandemic. Mm-hmm. But I just tell them just to be ready. But the most important part, just make sure your body is ready. Make sure you're in shape.
Well,
like I said, other than that, then get some sleep, because the night before I was drafted, I probably got maybe an hour or two sleep. I couldn't. Just the unknown just kept me up all night. So that night that I was drafted, I slept.
Yeah, I mean it's the day that you worked just about all your life for. It's the thing that you dream of doing, playing. So many of these guys, dream of playing at the next level, dream of making professional football their job, their profession. So obviously very nerve-wracking times, no doubt about it. Tyjuan, I really appreciate you taking the time to chat tonight. Had a lot of fun chatting with you, talking about your career and obviously your foundation as well. Again, it's always great to see guys from the state of Illinois, especially the South Side, go on and have success. So if you could, just please remind the listeners where they can follow you and your foundation at before we let you go.
Okay, I always have updates on at TyjuanHaglerFoundation.org as far as my philanthropic endeavors, and also you can always post on my my Instagram and my Twitter as far as updates as well. So please tune in and look forward to seeing some of you guys at our event.
Awesome. Sounds good, Tyjuan. Thanks so much for your time. Congrats on all the success, and really appreciate what you're doing out in the community, and wishing you all the best.
Thank you. Same to you.